Version of my journal. I'm Steffanie Rivers. Come on into the conversation. You're watching my journal, and I am multicasting on YouTube and Facebook Live and Twitter and some other platforms. On whatever platform you're watching me, we want to welcome you to the conversation. If you are new, welcome aboard. I know you're going to hear something that you want to share, and so I'm going to ask you to subscribe so that when I post new videos, you'll be the first to know. And if you're returning, welcome back to the conversation. What are we talking about today? We're going to talk about whether Supreme Court justices lied to get appointed to the Supreme Court. We're going to talk about did people on Congress, is some Congress men and women, did they help plan the January 6, 2021 insurrection and then asked then President Trump for pardons? We're going to talk about abortions, pardons, and white lies right after this. Hi, I'm Steffanie Rivers, and I want justice. The police officers involved showed reckless disregard. Again, welcome to the conversation. I just put in the chat. If you want to actually chat live with me, you can do that. Just click on that link and you'll be live. You don't have to use your show your face, but I prefer that you do that. So we're talking today about abortions, pardons, and white lies. And so if you haven't found out already, if you are pregnant and you want to get an abortion, the U.S. Supreme Court just made it harder for you depending on what state you live in. The court has overturned its 5 decades long support for a woman's right to choose. It happened like this as far as the numbers. Who voted against the woman's right to choose? There's 9 Supreme Court justices. 5 of them voted to overturn Roe versus Wade, and that left 4. So that was the majority in how it happened. Now, those 5 justices would be Clarence Thomas, Sam Alito, Brett Kavanaugh, Neil Gorsuch, and Amy Coney Barrett. They voted to overturn Roe versus Wade. Now, I don't know what's worse. 5 old dudes trying to tell a woman, dictating to a woman what she can and cannot do with her body, or a woman agreeing with 5 dudes, old dudes, 4 in this case, on what a woman can do or not do with their bodies. The 3 most junior Supreme Court justices that were a part of that majority, that would be Brett Kavanaugh, Neil Gorsuch, and Amy Barrett Coney, or Coney Barrett, you know who I'm talking about. They were nominated by then President Donald Trump to the Supreme Court, and the president is known for stacking the court, whether it's the Supreme Court or federal appointments, with people who didn't necessarily have the experience, but they were experienced in agreeing with Donald Trump on what his point of view was. So if you agree with him, then you were more likely to get appointed, and he was lining up some stuff for what he thought was going to be in his favor. And even more significant was that during their confirmation hearings for Kavanaugh and Gorsuch, they said that they would not overturn long-standing decisions such as Roe versus Wade. So, in other words, those two people lied under oath to secure lifetime appointments to the U.S. Supreme Court. And in fact, there are two Republican senators who have specifically said when they talked with those two justices, either during their congressional appointment hearings or in a private conversation, those two dudes said they would not be overturning Roe versus Wade, and here they are a year later doing what they said they wouldn't do. So that's called a lie. So if you lied to get your job, and you were hired, and then the people at your job found out that you lied to get the job, you probably would be fired. So the question is, do you think that these two justices should be questioned and possibly reassigned or demoted or whatever, or fired from the Supreme Court because clearly they lied about what they how they felt about Roe versus Wade? And why did the Supreme Court majority decide to overturn Roe versus Wade? That's the question. Why would they do that? Census count shows, and this is my what I think is the reason. The census count that we take every 10 years, it shows that by 2050, the United States is going to be majority Hispanic, Latino, and majority, and then Asian people, and then the African diaspora. Those are going to be the majority of American citizens. White people are going to become the racial minority as it pertains to numbers. White people's political dominance is going to be diminished and possibly extinguished. And so they don't want that. So if Hispanics keep having babies and immigrating, if Asians keep having babies and immigrating, if the African diaspora keeps having babies and immigrating, those are three racial sectors of the population that white people can't keep up with if they just keep having babies. And so they're saying, you know what, we need to do something about this. They're having babies and immigrating faster than white people can produce and reproduce. So this is my conjecture. This is what I think. And to prove that point, there was a woman who spoke at a rally the day of the overturning of Roe versus Wade, and it's called what's called a Freudian slip. You might think that she slipped up and said something that she didn't mean, but really she meant what she said, but she didn't mean to say it. They're thinking it, but it just came out. I'm going to show that to you, and you probably already have seen it. And I meant to have it pulled up, but at any rate, here it is.
President Trump, on behalf of all the MAGA patriots in America, I want to thank you for the historic victory for life in the Supreme Court yesterday. President Trump, on behalf of all the MAGA patriots in America, I want to thank you for the historic victory for life in the Supreme Court yesterday.
Okay, so she said what she meant. She said, "I want to thank you, President Trump, for the historic victory for many people would say she meant to say historic victory for life, but she said historic victory for white life, and that's what she meant because they feel like this is a step for them to continue to save white lives, babies being born, and taking away a woman's choice will help them to continue to bring up their numbers. So essentially, they want breeders, basically. They want breeders to help keep their numbers up. And that's what's going on. So the reversal of Roe versus Wade means that states' rights are the primary determinant for abortion rights. So depending on what state you live in, then it might be outlawed now already, or in the coming weeks, your state legislators might decide that because there's no federal regulations supporting it, that they now are not going to support it. And then there are some states that are more liberal, and you might be able to, if you live there, do that. And now you're going to have people traveling, doing different things just to exercise their right to their bodies. And so we know a lot of states have poor civil rights history when it comes to the treatment of non-white residents with equal access to education, a fair justice system. And that's why federal laws started to be enacted, because so many states had such poor standing. It was just, and this was of course during the civil rights era, when there were mostly states' rights laws. A lot of states didn't allow non-white people a chance to succeed and excel. And so now it seems like they're reversing it, because federal law, now you got certain people in place that support what the states were doing. So now they're trying to erase federal law and give it back to the state. So, it's like we're moving forward in time, but we're really going back in progress. So pay attention to your state legislators and what happens in your state in the coming weeks and months because of the fall of Roe versus Wade. And we don't just have liars on the Supreme Court, because those two Kavanaugh and Gorsuch, clearly said they would not be looking to undo what the Supreme Court already had in place. And now a 50-year-old Roe versus Wade decision has been overturned. So they are not the only liars on Capitol Hill or in Washington, D.C. During the recent, which they're still going on, the congressional hearings, investigation into what happened on January 6, 2021, the insurrection, it has now come out that there were a number of Congress people who asked President Trump for pardons. And this is according to people on President Trump's staff that was in the meeting or got the emails from those people. So Democrats a couple of weeks ago, just the background, and if you haven't already, be sure to like, share, and subscribe so that when I post new videos, you'll be the first to know. Now, a couple of weeks ago, the Democrats in the House of Representatives, they approved nearly $2 billion to upgrade the Capitol building. They said, oh, we want to put some money towards fortifying the Capitol. So nothing like January 6th, 2021 will ever happen again. But here's the thing. They are ignoring the fact that the day before, on January 5th, there were Congress people who allowed groups of people, let's say tour groups, to come in under their name. Because if you work on Capitol Hill, you can approve, or your constituents, they can request tour passes because you're their congressperson there and you represent their district. So you can say, okay, this group of people, they're going to be touring the Capitol. There were a number of tour groups on January 5th, more than usual, especially since it was kind of like in COVID procedures, protocol was going on, and there weren't that many people being allowed in. But there were other Congress people and people who work in the Capitol building who said, there's a lot of people walking through here. This was on January 5th, though. So then January 6th rolls around, and they're storming the Capitol, climbing the walls. They know the route to get to certain Congress people's offices because they have their names on the door. And then the people from the day before start putting two and two together, and they're like, wait a minute now. It was a bunch of people here yesterday touring the place, and now they're tearing up the place. Could those be some of the same people? Well, probably, but I don't know if they're ever going to put together, the people who they charged so far and the people who were on the tour. I don't know how they're comparing notes. But at any rate, there now is coming out in these congressional investigation hearings that some Congress people asked President Trump for pardons if they were ever to be charged for anything in connection to January 6th. And one of those Congress people asked for pardons on everything from the beginning of time. That was the quote, the beginning of time till right now. Okay. So clearly these people now, why would you ask for a pardon if you didn't think you did something wrong? You asked for a pardon because you know you were wrong, and you know if anyone finds out that you might be held liable. And we're going to talk about that as well. But since the coup failed, then now everybody's saying, let's investigate. Because remember, there was a time that some people in Congress didn't even want the investigation to happen. They were like, no, we just need to get over it. We need to get past it. It's funny how when somebody does you wrong, they want you to get past it. But when you do them wrong, they want to put you in jail, up under the jail, and charge you all types of fines. And they want you to remember from here to eternity. But when they do something wrong, they want you to forget it. So anyway, yeah, that's what's going on. Some people in Congress didn't even want the investigation to happen. But it is happening. It's happening. And so these things are starting to come out. And some of the defenders of these Congress people, they might say that, as smart as these people are, they might say, well, they might have approved the tour the day before, but they didn't have any idea that those people were gonna do something the next day and take advantage of the knowledge that they had gained in the tour. And in general, that could be the case. But here's the thing: the people who are Congress people, they are smart people. Before they got to Congress, some of them were doctors, physicians, some of them were attorneys, some of them were business owners, some of them, they are smart people. They're not dummies, okay? And so for them to totally not know anything about the planning of the storm on the 6th, and for them to not put together or even question, or nobody on their staff question, why, all of a sudden all these people coming up asking for tours. Why are so many tours going on? Why am I being asked for so many passes? It just seems like there should be some protocol, and there probably was some protocol that would require a congressperson to know what was going on. It's kind of like if you're responsible for how your guests act when they go somewhere, especially if you refer them to go somewhere. If you refer them to go to play golf at your golf course where you have a membership. If you tell them, you send them to a restaurant and then they act a fool at the golf course at the restaurant, do you not think that you hold some liability because you referred those people? So it's the same difference. So during the congressional hearings, we found out that there were some Congress people who approved some tour passes for some groups, and then some of those same Congress people have asked for pardons. Who are those Congress people? I didn't pull up their pictures, but I pulled up their names. And so here they are. The first one is Matt Gaetz of Florida. And Matt Gaetz is the one that everybody says looks like Eddie Munster on the Addams Family. Essentially, he's still fighting charges of child pornography and all of that, which is a whole nother thing. That is the reason he's the one who asked President Trump for pardons from the beginning of time till now, because he knows that he's also got some child pornography charges alleged that is alleged to have been a part of. And so that is one of the people. Another one is Congressman Andy Biggs of Arizona. Another one is Mo Brooks of Alabama, and Louis Gomer, probably Louis Gomer of Texas, and Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia, and Scott Perry of Pennsylvania. I feel like I've said more than 5. So there was Matt Gaetz, there was Mo Brooks, there was Andy Biggs, there was Louis Gomer, there was Marjorie Taylor Greene, and there's the 6th one is Scott Perry of Pennsylvania. So if you live in any of those states or those districts, start looking at what is going on. You would think that these people who allegedly participated in the planning and the organizing of January 6th, that they could be held just as liable for the break-ins and the destruction and all of that as the people that have already been charged. But strangely enough, the congressional hearing they're not planning to request that they be charged with anything. And so it makes me ask, well, what the hell are we doing this all for if you're not looking to get these people charged with something? Maybe their co-workers, maybe they're thinking that maybe if we expose them, then their constituents who voted for them in the first place might vote them out of office. But the same thing could be said that might make them be more appealing to some people, because that's weird how that happens. I mean, it's kind of like asking yourself, there's so many things that Donald Trump did that you would think would make him not be the best candidate in a lot of people's eyes, but those same things made him apparently people voted for him because of some of those things. So you never know if it's going to make these Congress people more appealing or less appealing to the voters in their districts. But most of them have denied that they asked for pardons. But the people who said that the Congress people asked for pardons were people who were in the meeting when they asked for the pardons. They received the emails on behalf of Trump asking for a pardon. So liars gonna lie, okay? So liars gonna lie. They lied one time. They allegedly helped to plan the insurrection. And so what's the big deal about lying and saying I didn't ask for a pardon? They don't think anything of it. That's just how they roll. So that would be the reason that you would ask for a pardon. You wouldn't ask for a pardon if you didn't do anything wrong. So I don't know if they're going to be charged, but I think they should be charged. So do you think, I want to ask you, if the foot soldiers, the people who climbed the walls and broke in and put their feet on people's desks and stole items, and defaced property, if they've been charged and some of them been sentenced, why wouldn't the organizers be charged? Because they are just as liable and should be held accountable. And so the question, I'm going to leave you with these two questions. How do you feel about lying Supreme Court justices, people who lie in a confirmation hearing to get the appointment and then go right back and do what they said they weren't going to do? How do you feel about Congress people who helped allegedly to plan the insurrection and then ask for pardons? And it doesn't look like they're going to need a pardon. Well, one, Trump is not there to give them a pardon, and two, it doesn't look like they're going to be charged with anything. So it's all looking like it's just a big circus. And that's the sad part. It's a waste of time and money and energy and emotions if you're not really in it to make a change. And so if you, let's see, Milk 35 says, hey, Steph, I know they kill a lot of Black people. And I don't know if I don't know who you're talking about specifically. But essentially, what you're saying, abortions kill a lot of Black people. But see, they're okay with that. In fact, that T-shirt that was printed that says, when we protest, y'all mad. When we kneel, y'all mad. When we boycott, y'all mad. When we die, y'all silent. They don't care about if Black babies die or Latino babies or Asian babies. They don't care about that. Their goal is to preserve white babies. And so, I'm all about a woman's choice. I'm all about people having a choice, period, not just women, but having a choice, period. Because here's another thing, though. When you're forcing people to have children that they, one, feel like they can't take care of, or that maybe they're pregnant under circumstances that was not of their choice, or maybe it was their choice, and then they feel like, I'm not prepared, I can't take care of this child. And so, but you're going to force somebody to have a baby, but then you're going to take away all the government assistance. You're going to take away all the assistance, basically, that they might be depending on to help take care of that child. So it's like, how you gonna force me to have a baby, but then you're gonna take away all the options that I might have to help me to provide for that baby? And that's exactly what happens. Sure, a lot of us we don't want for government assistance to be what people depend on. And I don't want that either. I don't want for all of my tax dollars or to go to just pay for other people's bad decisions. But at the same time, if the woman knows, look, I'm not ready, let that be her choice. Or it's not necessarily a woman, it could be her and her husband's choice, her and her boyfriend's choice. It just could be a family choice. Why are you taking away a person's choice against their own body? That makes no sense. Especially you, an old grumpy old ass man. How you gonna tell me what to do? Come on now. That's just how I feel about it. And so I would not do that. And but I'm not a Supreme Court justice, so nobody cares what I think except for you, and I'm glad you're here. So if you want to know more about what I care about, you can go to the written version of my journal, and that's at eurweb.com. Thanks, and you have a super day.